That's the right way around. This is right. Sorry, my mistake.
Okay.
All right. So welcome everyone to our weekly show. This is WGSN-DB going solo network radio, TV, and podcasts, the #1 internet singles talk network. My name is Barry Selby, one of the co-hosts of this entertaining and hopefully inspiring show that we do every week. My co-host Christina is off this week, and I get the lovely producer of our show, Cece Shatz, as my co-host today, which is going to be fun. So, quick introduction of myself. Then I'm bringing a special co-host, Cece, the Doyenne of Relationships. That's a great title. I love that. So yeah, I'm a relationship coach, best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and a passionate champion for the divine feminine. And this week's topic on the dating theme. So we did dating on long distance, dating when you get to having sex, the first date stuff. So today's topic is an interesting one we play on as well, because I've heard this from many of my clients and been through it myself, which is you've had the first date and you're like, is that what you want? So Cece, you want to jump in, say anything, introduction, whatever?
Yeah, hi, welcome. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Like you say, I'm usually behind the scenes pushing the buttons, but it's nice to be in the front. I'm like you, I hear a lot about dating and stepping forward into dating and then you go on the meet and greet. I call it a meet and greet because I don't count that as a date, right? and uh
Yes.
and the guys kind of laugh at that. I said, oh no, you got to work for it, so this is the meet and greet. And so that's when you kind of make up a decision. Do you have the chemistry, right, to be able to maybe progress a little bit further, or are you intrigued, with the other
Hmm.
party to have the next date? I think sometimes we judge a little bit too much at the beginning, and maybe could that be very that we're basing that on maybe what we think our expectations are, right?
Oh, it couldn't be that.
Yeah.
No, that is the
I
thing. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, because we talk, right? Usually, like we do a little emailing, then maybe we have a conversation on the phone a few times or something like that. So we've already in our minds, we've established kind of what we picture this person to be, their personality, things like that. And so then when we meet, we're like, maybe not.
Well,
So,
that's one reason why I think, and this is one thing that started happening, partly because of the pandemic and also because of the technology now, is most of the dating apps have an ability to do a video chat. So rather than just messaging back and forward and saying, let's just get together, I recommend, especially for those people who are a little bit cautious about the dating thing on either side of the gender choice, to use the video chat feature to meet somebody. At least you can see them moving on camera, so to speak, which is different than just a still shot where their fixed grin or their position is not necessarily natural, more artificial. So having the chance to communicate and converse over video chat is a step closer to what it would be like when you meet them in real life. And that's also a good chance to go yay or nay. And it's funny, I had a first date recently where we did a video chat, and frankly, because and I should say this is also as a caveat, the thing with video chats are if you're too close to the camera, your face looks a little distorted because the way that the camera lens works is it makes your nose bigger and your ears smaller, so things like it protracts your presentation. So when you're doing video chat, it's good to have the camera a little further away. Just a little tip for those people doing it. So when I was doing this chat with this woman, she looks okay, but I was like wasn't sure. But we went ahead and met in person, and when we met in person, she was actually more attractive than she was in the video chat because I saw her proper perspective, which sounds so simplistic, but from my perspective, it was like I could see her more naturally. And the truth was, we had a really nice time because we prefaced it by having a video chat. So we'd already broken the like, how do you look type question that comes up for people when you meet somebody in real life. It can look so different from the pictures on their profile. And so
right.
by doing a video chat, you've got you moved it closer, you moved the goalpost closer to seeing what they're like in real life. And that made it a lot easier. Now, the date, I mean, we talked a little bit, we didn't have much of a post date communication because it didn't like we were going anywhere. But we had a nice time, great conversation. And it was just two adults enjoying, a light, and as you said, like doing a meet and greet. We did a what I call pre-date, which is the same thing, which is we met for coffee and donuts of all things, because I'm supposed to suggest a place that has great donuts, and she was like, "Oh, I'm all in on that. 'Cause I've never had donuts in like 5 years." So it was a really fun treat and very light conversation. We went for a walk afterwards, um, and we actually had a nice time, and it was a wonderful time to explore. And the thing is that I got from it a great deal of value because it's my first time being on a real date in well over a year. It's probably been 2.5, 3 years since I've been on a real first date. So it was a good time, you know.
So what happened after that?
Well, as I said, we didn't have much communication. Actually, she was interested because I mentioned about some of the videos I've done. She wanted to check out my YouTube channel because I was talking about codependency, and I sent her this little one of the playlists I have on my YouTube channel called Cracking the Codependency Code. And she loved it. And that was it. It was like no communication after that. She liked my voice. She liked what I was talking about. She got value from it. And I mean, to be honest, I didn't follow up either. So on me, I didn't go, I enjoyed our time together, we get together again. But to be honest, I've been a little bit busy as well. And, but also the other day it was going to go on, which was going to be Saturday, but I got bumped now for 2 weeks because she had dental surgery. And so she basically took the weekend off. It's like, let's reschedule when you're feeling happier again and everything else. This one's going to be interesting because, first of all, we know each other. We've been friends we know each other for over 20 years. We haven't seen each other in many years. And we did the video chat, and it was just like old friends getting together. So I'm really looking forward to getting it together with her because I don't know if it's going to be chemistry, but I know this friendship. It's already built in.
Okay, so this is another one. This is a
second one. Yes, one. Yes.
See, okay, let's talk about that a little bit because I think number one, the first date, for the guys, the thing is when you go on the meet and greet, if you like her at all, then you need to ask for the second date.
Absolutely. No argument.
And you don't hesitate. Because if you hesitate, then what happens is there's lots of other guys out there that's going to be, stepping in. And so if you like her, you need to move forward with it. And I don't object to, even at the end of the date, them saying, listen, I had a great time. Would you like to do this again? And
that would be something.
You can say, yeah.
Yes. That was the thing I didn't do, and I know I didn't do it, and she knew I didn't do it.
Here you are again. So,
right, here's me being the expert, and I totally mess up my own teachings. I'm fallible.
And you're human. You're human.
Exactly,
you're absolutely human. Yeah. So but the guy's goal on the date, on the meet and greet, should be getting that next date. That's his goal. If he likes her, he needs to go ahead and go for it. And I personally feel like you should have 3 dates before you truly make up your mind whether that's a no-go, unless it's totally a no-go. If right. There's no chemistry, there's just, at the very beginning, then you just close it down. But if there's a little bit there and you're not sure, I think you need to do 3 dates. And I'll share with you that someone that I had dated, it was the same way. It's like he was intrigued, but he wasn't quite into it. And he had told me after the 3rd date, he knew that he really wanted to see me again. He knew that after the 3rd date, because our personalities are so different. And my personality is so different from what he's used to dating. And so he said, you're like out there like, I'm like, because I got a lot of high energy and the other ones are very, very quiet. Right. And so he, I kind of surprised him, but after the 3rd date, he really started understanding my personality more. So I think everyone should try to go at least, not counting the meet and greet, but go 3 dates after that. And then if you truly don't connect, then,
But as you said, if there's no chemistry up front, then shut it down at the beginning. I would definitely say that if there's no, you're not going to go through the motions. It's the idea about this is if you have an interest and maybe curiosity, then definitely go on to the next one and create an opportunity to get to know somebody better. Because the other part as well is, like I said, the second one is someone I've known for 20 years. We've had the pre-date, really, because we already have a sense of connection. We know each other and we have interest, even though it's been several, 15 years since we saw each other last, or whatever it's been. So definitely it's worth pursuing to see if it's worth having or not. And this is the thing about the pre-date, and I've talked about this before as well. The pre-date really is the low investment exploration to see if you want to be together or not. And so the 3 dates are more of an investment, but it's an investment in seeing where you want to go and if it wants to go somewhere. And I know we're talking about the dating side versus the Muh side, but it's good to know that structure in place, because that's the thing is when you're feeling that lack of juice, one of the questions that comes up is that really them or is that you? Are you not feeling juiced for the idea of dating? Because one of the things about dating is it does require up-leveling your energy and stepping up your game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and being on your toes a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah. And sometimes we don't always like to expose ourselves like that. We're afraid of being hurt again, or we're afraid of rejection. All of us, both men and women, are afraid of rejection. And so, and so let's talk about that a little bit. You're on the meet and greet or the pre-date, as you call it. If you find that you're not connected, you don't like the way the other person looks, or there's something there, or it's just only you can really tell. I mean, that is a time, like if the guy, for instance, I can give an example. If the guy said, listen, this went very well because I'm always very nice no matter what, and then he says, I'd love to do this again, then you've got to make a decision. Okay, you're not attracted to him, and are you going to go ahead and go to another date? And I feel personally it's unkind to do that unless there's a touch. If there's something there that intrigues you, then you should go. But if it's totally where you want to shut it down, you can just say it right then. So listen, I don't, you're a great person. You're a great guy. I really had a really great time. And I actually would love to be friends, but I just don't see a romantic connection.
Yeah,
And they're
is
not offended like that when you say
that's the
it.
thing. And this thing is being respectful enough to say no.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing is there's some part of us almost that has a sense of, I won't say guilt, but the sort of feeling of, well, I need to follow through. I need to keep it going on. And as you said, it's like, don't be that person. Be willing to say, this isn't working, or I'm not interested in going further. So let's call it as it is. That's actually a respectful thing to do.
Yeah, it truly is. And if the other person gets upset, then they're being maybe a little bit immature about it. But, but you just try to be as gracious as you possibly can. But again, if there's a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of something there, then take it to the next, go
Mm-hmm.
to the next, and you might be pleasantly surprised. Or again, then you decide whether it's a no-go or a go on,
Right.
whatever. But yeah.
So speaking to the second part of that title,
Mhm.
I know that there's been, I mean, let's speak about what's happening reality-wise now. We're just coming out of the pandemic in some parts of the country. Some parts have been in lockdown up until, well, still are. I mean, I'm in California, and basically we officially, if nothing changes, completely are back to normal in like almost 2 weeks on June 15th, I think it is. So middle of June, basically. And so for quite a lot of people in California who have been abiding by the rules, and other states too, where the same thing's applying, dating hasn't been a priority because it's not been permitted because of all the lockdown stuff. So now for a lot of people, they're out of practice. And so dating can feel a bit, it can be a level of trepidation, or at least of like fearing, almost like going back on dates again seems strange.
Mhm.
So I understand that feeling inside can be one of discomfort because you're not used to this anymore. Or you should say you're out of practice enough where you don't feel that it's something you can really do anymore. Yet the thing is that this is also, and then on the other side of the coin, just to flip the other script a bit, some people they've been feeling like they've been repressed for at least a year. They want to get out and play right away, and they're so impatient to get out there, which can also overwhelm and kind of confuse their dates. So it's finding your own way through and noticing internally what's driving you. Are you driven by need to have something to make you feel better, or are you driven by fear where you're afraid to get close again?
Right.
So what is your inner guidance telling you? What is your reaction being?
Well, that's very true. And that's really a good point. It's like before you even start dating again, you need to know why you're dating,
Right.
because dating truly is not just to have fun. It's not just to hang out with somebody and have fun. It's actually building a relationship with someone. And so what type of relationship are you looking for? And so you have to really, especially being in COVID here, we had a lot of time spent thinking about things like that. And
Yep.
so now a lot of people are moving forward in dating because they're saying, I don't want to be alone, and I want a partner in my life. And so I am looking for that. But what type of relationship are you looking for? What does it, look for you down the road? And I think we have to look at our futures and try to figure out what is it that we truly want, or do we want marriage? Do we want, you know, just a commitment of some sort? What are we looking for? What are the qualities of the individual you're looking for?
Right.
So there's a lot of questions there.
And that's the thing is doing the not doing being in a place where you want to date and being clear why. So that's a very important question, which you said, and I love that idea, because for many people, dating is just something to do, and it's almost a time filler versus something they're really passionate about. And knowing why you're dating is definitely a key, because are you dating to just have fun, which is usually what people seem to think, especially when they're younger, but it's not necessarily effective to have results if you're looking to have a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So using dating and one of my teachers, Alison Armstrong, talks about how dating is the hunting technique for men, where we're basically, or I should say, it's like a sorting thing, because men are quote the hunter in the archetype.
Right.
So we're always like checking out: is this the one? Is this one? Is this the one? So when we're looking through the apps or meeting somebody, there's a checklist inside going: is this the one I want to be with? And if it's not, it's like, okay, next. And that's the challenge that we have to overcome somewhat for men, is to be enough present mind to be polite rather than going, okay, next, because that's almost what some men want to do. They're so ready to just dump the one they're with to go on to the next one. And I'm not trying to excuse them by saying it's in our wiring, in our DNA, but it is kind of the way we're built. So it takes conscious intention and conscious awareness to actually soften the edges of that.
Mm-hmm.
And be more respectful, and to say like this, thank you for the time, enjoy the time, and enjoy your life type thing, versus just leaving them hanging. Because that feeling is definitely key to know what's driving you and what you want to do. But also then when you're there, what do you do with it? How do you go through it? I know women are actually doing the same thing in some ways. They're sorting through trying to find the man they want to have. And so it's not necessarily the most it's the image that came in my mind was going to the first day of a big sale and fighting over what's on the counter.
And I think sometimes we're doing that.
And sometimes they're looking like all the discards on the floor. It's like, that's all the people you didn't like. It's like, that's not a very good way of treating them. Which is why that's why a lot of people who are dating are feeling a bit like maybe not, because they don't want to be on that pile on the floor, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I was thinking too, as you were talking, is that, we're a little bit older. We're in probably the last quarter of our lives, right? And
I'd
so
like to say the last half, but I'm looking for a long life.
last quarter, okay, we'll give it the last half. But the reality is that, we have to think about dating differently when we're older,
Mm-hmm.
versus as we were when we were 20s and our 30s, maybe even 40s. But now when we're pushing into, possibly 50s, 60s, 70s, we have to really look at it very, very differently. And we also have to have an understanding that our dating pool is starting to shrink, you know. And so as we're out there dating, we may not get everything that we want, you know, or everything we thought we wanted when we were 30, or in our 40s,
I know.
Maybe we're a little bruised around the edges, and maybe some things don't quite work as much as they used to. Take a little bit more oil, that type of thing. But
Indeed.
yeah, but the reality is that it's very, very different. And I hear it often when I'm doing some of my coaching, and we're talking about dating, transition of dating. I hear it often that they're still dating, and their mindset is still when they're in their 20s and their 30s.
Yeah.
And what they say to me is, they say, well, I'm picky. Well, you're going to pick yourself right out of the whole arena of dating. The reality is, because you're not, you got to look in the mirror. You're not what you were back then, nor your expectations should. I'm not saying that the feeling of a relationship and the feeling of what you feel inside that a person gives you, but when you're beginning to start dating, the first couple of dates or whatever, you're dating, sorry, you're trying to assess that individual based on, looks and maybe activities and, things like that. And so I think we have to be very careful to date in today's world, where we
Yeah.
are today. don't you think?
That's a key part of it. I know for myself is that and just to be transparent, I definitely had that internal thing about looking at women externally at how they look and then wishing for a certain appearance, which is not even feasible now. Well, let me be transparent. Also, different ethnicities have different skin longevity. Be very careful I say this. I have a lot of friends in the African American community. They say like black don't crack. It's like there's definitely a lot of African women I know and men who look really good at the same age that us white folks don't look as good to a degree. So there's difference of appearance, but also for me, and this is the thing that's so fundamental, is that I haven't met anyone that looks the way that image is, that matches anything I can communicate with. And that's the biggest piece for me nowadays, is somebody who I can be on the same dance floor with on terms of intellect, community, emotional maturity, understanding, philosophy, awareness and growth.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that who I need to be with has to be somewhat within at least a decade or two of my own age to being close. And that's a reality I had to face, because at first I was like, yeah, but I want this. Like, no, that's not going to work, because that's going to be the playtime that I don't want to spend the time doing anymore. It's not functional. So yes, having an adjustment to see what you want to be with is not just the physical appearance, which is the one thing that has changed more than anything else. But the truth is, internally, everything's changed for the better, because there's more life experience, more wisdom, more awareness, more hopefully emotional availability with somebody you want to play with.
Yeah. I totally get that. And I think that COVID has made us more aware of that. Has made us more aware of what we want internally for someone, a partner in our life, versus the exterior. We're all coming out of COVID a little bit heavier. We're all trying to like crash diets, and we're trying to lose weight, and we're trying to do all this stuff. But the reality is what we yearn for internally is we're so aware of that now, and so I agree with that. And I think in our age group, that's what's the driving force is, can I sit and talk with that person? Am I going to be able to have some laughs with them? And am I going to is our interest going to be, at least somewhat similar, so we can have some fun together? I mean, sure, maybe he may golf a bit and maybe she may do whatever a little bit, but when they come back together, are they going to be able to, jive like that? And so all of these elements come into play when we're thinking about that first date, that second date, that third date. And that's why it's so vital that we really truly understand what it is that we want in another partner. What is it that we are willing to let go of? My vision of a perfect, the Tarzan kind of man, he ain't there in his 60s. He's a little soft around the edges now, and but the personality and the quality of the individual is definitely there. And so that's where I think, we've got to remember if we're trying to build a relationship with someone, it's not all about the cover,
Right.
Yeah.
The cover is just the packaging. Although for me, one of the things that I did for myself is because I wanted to do my best to take care of myself during this time. And in fact, got pretty, I won't say athletic, but starting to get back to where I used to be in terms of having like ability to ride my bike and not get worn out and go hiking and things. So that's because I know if I want to be with someone who takes care of themselves, I got to do the same thing myself. So part of that is you can't expect the person you're going to attract to be someone who doesn't do what that you don't do the same thing they do. So it's like, if you want to have someone who loves to dance, then you got to be out on the dance floor yourself. It's like, do the things that you want to enjoy participating with.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely there's caveat. I mean, because I say living in California, there are probably quite a few men and women who are quite fit looking in their 50s and 60s because they've been on that path for quite a while. It's been it's almost embarrassing how good they look.
Oh, maybe I need to take a trip out there.
I thought there might be some in Florida too.
Yeah, but to me, again, it's not the wrapper. It's it's what's inside.
The content, yeah,
is really so important. Not to say that I'm not attracted to the wrapper. I need to be attracted a little bit to that. I want to keep that bow around. I want to do
absolutely.
that kind of thing. But yeah, but it's the quality, and of course that's also that's a personal thing too. I mean, there are still some guys out there that are looking for that perfect woman, and that's the way it is. So shall we do a break?
I think it's a good time to, yes.
Yeah, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more. That would be fun.
Okay, take it away.
All right.
And we're back.
We're back. You guys were listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Let's Talk Dating Show, and we have Barry Selby here.
And Cece Shatz.
Yes. So those of you that don't know, Barry Selby is a relationship and dating coach. And, you really have done a lot. You help successful women balance in love, life, and business. You're a speaker. You're a best-selling author. You've done a lot.
I've been through a lot. One of these days we'll do an origin show. Like we'll talk about where you came from and stuff. But the thing is, I've been on this path for many years. I was actually sharing on Clubhouse. We're doing a lot of work in Clubhouse now, and I was talking in one of the rooms about how I started my first. I participated in my first seminar, not knowing what it was, back in 1984. So that's getting on for almost 40 years ago now. So I've been through a lot, learned a lot, changed a lot, and now I share a lot. That's the shorthand version of way of saying it.
Well, we thank you for doing that. Absolutely. And those that don't know me, my name is Cece Shatz, and I'm the Doyenne of Relationships. I'm a mentor, coach. I help people through divorce, relationship loss, transition of dating. And, we do a lot here at the goingsolomedia.com, the radio, and we have live streaming TV and radio. And and then I have several groups that, so you just go, my website's goingsoloNetwork.com. You can find everything on there, plus our brand new community site, which is so yeah. So let's get back on this dating thing. So
indeed.
So now you've got, what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit, and this might be a little bit off the subject, and maybe you and Christine, and bless Christine's heart. We want her to come back here, and we miss her. We miss her terribly.
She'll be back next week. She'll be back next week. She'll be back next week. So it's only 1 week off.
Yes, only one. We're only giving her 1 week, so enjoy it. So lay around, enjoy it, because you're coming back
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
street.
Enjoy your day off.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about this, because when we talk about our first date, the meet and greet, pre-date, the first date, second date, third date, when we're out there dating, right, and we're talking to a multitude of people. I
Hmm.
mean, there's a lot, and ladies, I think, really get hit on. I think men starting getting hit on a lot too, but there's a multitude of people. So we have several people that we might be talking to. Could be
Yeah.
5, 6 people that we're talking to. So, Barry, I wanted to ask you, when you're on your meet and greet or your pre-date, how much do you think that affects your decision on whether you want to continue to go out with this person, knowing that you maybe have 5 or 6 other people you can go out with?
Good question. I'm weird in one way is I don't generally date lots of people at once. It's too confusing. So I tend to do one or two at a time, and that's about as much as I'm comfortably able to juggle in my head of like, okay, who did I tell what to? That sort of thing. So for me, it's easier to make the selection criteria. If I was having that many to choose from, in fact, I'm not sure I recommend that personally because that can be overwhelming in terms of keeping all those people in track and who's doing what. Some people are really good at that. That's not my strength. I would recommend more to just keep it down to like maybe 2 or 3 at the most at any one time. And then it's really about your own inner guidance. You can do the sort of the statistical sheet and like do a spreadsheet and figure out who's got what, and everything else. But that's not exactly romantic. And it's also not very intuitive because that can be very mechanical because you might see things that don't make sense. But internally, you just get a really strong hit. This is a good fit, or there's a good quality this person has. So I would put it down to more of your own inner guidance. And I know women have a much, there's a much wider freeway to intuition than men have. We have it too, but it's more hard. It's harder to get to. It's more like going through a forest path to get there. But literally, we both carry intuition in us, so we can have that inner sense that guides us, that tells us more yes and no pretty quickly. I mean, I've had that with friends and over the years in business relationships where I can just feel intuitively whether there's a hit or there's like it's yes or a no. So I've been lucky with that because it's a skill I've been developing. But just having a sense of what's going on helps you navigate where you feel most familiar. And you can tell basically, like if you've got 4 or 5 people you're dating, and one of them you keep feeling something about that's good, like every time you think of them, you get a warm, fuzzy feeling. And even if you're not communicating any more with any one of them than any other, you know pretty much which one's lining up for you. I mean, as much people say, no, I want to keep it even. It's like, no, you know intuitively which ones are you're attracted to. Now, one caveat on that. I think we've talked about this before on the show, about how we have a bad habit of dating our parents.
Oh gosh.
Yes. I took a
I'm
while ago.
sitting down.
Yeah. Meaning that if you haven't done any work, this is going to be very surprising to you. If you've done the work, you know this, is that we tend to inherit our our relating patterns from our parents because that's the model we were raised with.
Mhm.
So if you're attracted to somebody because they exhibit patterns like your parents and you don't like the patterns your parents influenced you with, that's a clue not to go with them. So that's the caveat I want to speak about, is that when we're attracted to somebody, are we being attracted because they are a wonderful person or because they remind us of things that we had when we were kids that maybe we don't want as an adult? For example, if your parents were always yelling at each other, but they were still loving each other, so your wiring is unless that person yells at you, you don't feel loved. It's like that sort of wiring is in there. So just decide, is that going to work or not? Because maybe it's like, oh, it's familiar because like it was when I was at home when I was a kid. Yeah, but is that good or bad? So you can use that as discernment to know if you want to be with them. So I think that answers your question a bit more than you asked for.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's okay. But yeah, I can't get over the fact about my dad dating my dad. But yeah,
I'm not saying literally,
no,
figuratively. Just to
I'm
be
just
clear.
kidding. My dad's okay. But well, the reason I brought that up is because I think that a lot of times it's like a smorgasbord, and so we so quickly dismiss someone, and we don't give them the true, the true attention, or that we need to do to be able
Hmm.
to truly evaluate whether they would be a good partner for us or not, because we're so ready to zoom by and go to the next one. And the reality is that I don't personally, I don't think you should be off the market unless you're exclusive. And so till the guy says you're exclusive, you're okay to date more than one person if that's what you choose to do.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you need to have that objective balance, because you can't just discard someone thinking, oh, well, I got Jimmy and Johnny over here, I can just discard them, because that could have been the one, and you just didn't give it the time, you didn't give it the attention, you didn't give it your all to really truly, investigate that. And so, and I agree with you about you'll start to home in, if you're dating more than one person, you'll start to kind of home in on which one you kind of like better, which one do you feel more comfortable with. And then it's time to let the other ones go. If you start doing that, you should start doing that and homing in on that.
So let me put a couple of more things into the conversation, because I just had a couple of thoughts just come up when you said that.
Mm-hmm.
One of which is that comfort with somebody you connect with. Watch what that's about. As I mentioned earlier about that thing, we might be attracted to somebody who reminds you of your parents' way of being in a relationship. It also could be the person pitching themselves to you in such a way that you feel like, wow, they're winning me over. Whereas the person who's being more laid back might be the one who's actually the one you're more comfortable with. So be clear what you're checking into, what's resonating and how you're feeling attracted. Because are you attracted to the way they're making you feel, or you're attracted to the way that they're feeling to you? It's a little different, meaning that, again, somebody can be pitching you and pursuing you, making you feel wonderful because they're boosting your ego and making you feel wonderful. Because that can be all show and no go, so to speak. And I've been around people like that, and I know some of my female clients have dealt with men like that, especially the ones who are a bit more on the narcissistic profile direction. So being clear about what's attracting to you about this person is the way that they're really celebrating and treating you, which is wonderful, or the person who just in their presence you feel comfortable, because that might actually be more authentic. So just because somebody's more overt in the way they express to you, does that necessarily mean they're the right choice? You got to know for yourself. So that's why it's that checking inside what lines up for you. That's one piece. The second piece is, well, this is a much bigger topic for another time, and I think we talked about it before again, is the red flags. Part of the dating process is to also figure out if the person has common alignment with you, which means if there's certain things that don't align, like you are somebody who is 12 years sober, you don't be around somebody who's a lush. That wouldn't work, for example. Or if you're somebody who likes to go and exercise all the time, but this person wants to just sit on the couch and watch TV, that may not work either. So know what your deal breakers are, what things that are red flags that don't work for you. And as well, and I took this in the other way, which is know what your green flags are. What are the things you must have? That the person loves animals or loves kids because that's what you have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be clear what those things are before you go too far, because those can eliminate some of the people off your list very quickly too. So before you start dating, as you said earlier, we had some things to suggest before you start dating. Also, before you start dating, what are your red flags and your green flags? What are those things that you must have and things you don't want to have in your relationships? So when you meet somebody, quite right off the bat, like I know, political stuff came up a lot the last couple of years. Like if you support this person, I'm not interested in dating you, that sort of thing. Or if you got vaccinated, I want to be with you type thing. There's lots of new criteria that showed up in the last couple of years that have made that list of green flags and red flags much more visible. So know what it is you really want. And are you willing to sacrifice any of those for the sake of the person you're with? Because there might be a red flag, because I reckon for most people, your red flag list isn't massive, but it's specific.
Mm-hmm.
6 or 7 things, maybe 10 things that you say, these things, if they're in that relationship, I don't want to be in it. And a list of green flags is about the same, 5, 10 things that really do, really do create a sense of agreement, resonance, happiness, that you go, yes, this person lines up. So those things.
That's
those
very
good,
true. That's very, good. That's great advice. Great advice. You're spot on with that. And, and going back to the, first date, second date, third date, it's allowing the person to to be authentic, because at the very first meet and greet, I just don't think we are authentic, because we're so nervous about meeting each other, and we want to please each other, and we want to have our best on, and we want to look nice, smell nice. But when you go down to the third date, okay, maybe your hair's not so perfect and you're not,
Yeah.
you're more authentic. So if you have an interest in someone, give them time to be authentic, to see if they have those red flags, green flags, all of those things, to see if that blends, because that's what dating's about, isn't it?
Dating can be a whole lot of fun and exploration and meeting new people. It's almost like being a tourist in a new city. You get to try new things.
Hmm.
So it can be a whole lot of fun. But again, it's like, what is that fun? Are you being filled up or are you being drained? Are you being lifted or are you being pulled down? That dating experience is a lot of fun. At the same time, it's very telling.
Hmm.
So it's important, I believe, to really be aware of what's happening. As simplistic as that sounds, but it's like when you're out dating, because that's the thing about the feeling you have about dating is that when you're enjoying yourself, be aware of that, because you might be so caught up in it, you're not even aware what's going on.
Right.
So
That's very true. The other thing I would say about dating is that dating is an experience, and it's one to be kind of savored and enjoyed, And the reality is with each person we meet and with each step we go through, we not only learn more about that individual, we learn a whole lot about ourselves, you know. And so as we continue to evolve and we meet people and we assess on whether we think that there'll be a potential partner, no, maybe they'll just end up being a friend, those kind of things. We're evolving and we're growing and we're kind of finding our own as to what it is that we truly not only want in a partner, but how we want to be as a partner. And I think that's very, very important. So, I'm learning that as I'm dating. It's not just about my expectations are of him. It's what can I give you? What kind of partner can I be to you? And am I a match for you? So when I'm listening to them talk or what they like doing or whatever, I don't want them down the road to be frustrated with me because I'm not, you know, the I'm not a sports type of girl. You know what I mean? I'm not
yeah.
athletic. I'm not, I'm a girly girl. A true blue girly girl all the way through. I love sparkly nails. I mean, I'm just a girly
Right.
girl. And so if a guy's looking for, more of a tomboy or, that kind of person, I'm just not her. And so I have to be true to me and I have to be true to, hopefully my potential partner. And so I think those are the things. I think we miss it sometimes because we think it's all about the other person, but sometimes it's really about us and our own growth, right?
Oh yeah. And that's a key piece right there, is knowing what it is. It's like, isn't it almost like staying in your lane? That knowing what it is that lines up for you, what works for you, versus trying to be somewhere you're not.
Hmm.
Because one of the worst things on being on first date is making up stories and pretending being somebody you're not. Best thing on a first date is again, as you called it, meet and greet. Be authentic, be real, because the first thing is it's easier. Secondly, it's more honest, and thirdly, it's a lot easier to remember what you said. I joke about the sayings like, yeah, when you make your stuff up and everything else, you got to remember what you said, which is harder to do. So better be honest, because you don't have to worry about remembering everything.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, because you hear guys all the time say, well, she said she liked football, but then when I want to watch it every single weekend, two times or three times, all weekend long, and she's mad at me. So,
Well, that's the thing, is you can like football when it's a Super Bowl and nothing else. Then you can
mhm.
like football every single week. So qualification is helpful.
Yeah, so you gotta be, yeah, but maybe she only follows one team. She doesn't follow the whole NFL
Right.
and college. So yeah, but no, it's a, dating can be fun, and I really dislike it when I hear people say how much they dislike dating, because it truly can be an experience, one that we can savor and enjoy, and we can meet a whole lot of people that maybe not our partners in life, but they can be wonderful friends that we might have met along the way. And I've met some really great guys along the way,
Hmm.
turned into friends.
I've
So,
made some. I made some good friends, even business acquaintances I met through dating. So it
mhm.
definitely has benefits. The thing is that if you're afraid of dating because that you're not wanting to meet new people, do things that are unfamiliar, and being out socially, then maybe this dating isn't even for you to do if that's what your choice is. I mean, dating's not for everybody, let's be clear. And even people who are single may want to spend more time just being with themselves. They don't desire to be in relationships, so there's no desire for dating. For me personally, I'm exploring dating as a thing that I do from time to time. It's not a 24/7 thing because, frankly, I burn out doing that. But it's something I enjoy doing because, one, it's an opportunity to meet new people, and yes, possibly to meet someone to be in a relationship with because I've been single for quite a long time. Not that I'm desperate, but it's also it'd be nice to change that state at the right time. But thirdly, selfishly, it's almost like research. so it's a win-win no matter what I do in the sense. I mean, I'm being facetious in a way, but although, as I said earlier in this talk, I was talking about data I went on. So in a way, it is research. It's content from what I talk about because I'm learning from it. Just to be, but truthfully, but I'm also being honest about that. Is the sense that being on dates is fun. It is a chance to meet new people, and it's good to get out in the world, and especially right now because we're coming out of a year of being locked down. To get out socially, especially new people, is a whole lot of new fun to do. So why not get out and explore and date and try new things?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to have to close the show. It went by so fast,
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, so let's share where they can contact you, Barry.
Certainly. So as I said at the beginning, my name is Barry Selby. Oops, knocked my microphone out of my ear.
In his excitement.
Click. Yes. So you can find me at my website, which is barryselby.com. On my website, as the left-hand side of the navigation is a little button that says "Let's Chat." So if you've got dating questions, relationship questions, or you're having challenges in your own navigation of life in a relationship, reach out to me there. They click on that link, you get on my calendar. We can have a chat. My gift to you, and if we find we want to work together, we'll talk about that. You can email me directly at barryselby.com, and on social media, definitely find me on YouTube, which is in fact I'll give you the place you can find me as Barry Selby. So which is basically as my at what name we call that. So YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Clubhouse. Then on Instagram, it's the real Barry Selby because that account got messed up before. So the real Barry Selby is safe. And on Facebook, my business page is Barry Selby the author, and that's where you can find me.
Okay, that's great. If anyone wants to reach me, my name is Cece Shatz, and you can Google, say Cece Shatz or Doyenne of Relationships. I usually come up. I am on all of the social media sites, and of course, you'll find me a lot on the goingsolomedia.com. There's a page there for Barry too. If you want to reach him, you can contact him through that site. You can contact me. My email is goingsolonetwork@gmail.com, and I love to hear from you. I don't do coaching as much as everyone else does. I take a couple clients maybe a year, but I don't do a whole lot. So if you something that you do want to do and you do want me to coach you more than happy to contact me. But with my schedule, I tend to do more group things. But if you are interested, and you need some help, I'm always here to help you. So that's for sure. And of course, check out our goingsoloNetwork.com. It's got everything on there. It's got all of our various different websites that we have. We have a travelers group. We have the new communities site out now. We have the radio site. We've got a dating site. So definitely check it out and see if there's something you want to connect with us that way. And if you need help, like I said, if you need help, I'm more than happy to help you or direct you to these wonderful coaches that I have in contact with each and every day. So it's great. I'd like to just share really quick, Christine, she'll be back here next week. Her information, if you want to reach her, it's Christine Baumgartner. She's a relationship and dating coach. It's Christine at theperfectcatch.com. Her website is theperfectcatch.com. And she's on all social media too. So she'll be back here next week. This is the Let's Talk Dating show, and I'm behind the scenes. So if you want to say hi to me next week, you can do a little comment and say, "Hey, Cece," and I'll see your message too. But this is a great show, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So any last words, Barry?
Basically, get out there and have some fun and keep your boundaries healthy.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, guys, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcasts. We're the #1 internet singles talk network. Our website's goingsolomedia.com. We'll see you next week right back here on Let's Dating with Christine Baumgartner and our wonderful host here, Barry Selby. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you. We'll see you next week, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern
Yeah, I
time.
didn't put that up, did I?
Ooh.
Let's do that.
Every Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you next week.
That's important. This is a really great show. So thank you for letting me be part of it.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here. Thanks for producing it.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.